Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. So today's video, if you have been watching my videos before, you previously subscribed, you might have seen that I kind of had a break in posting. I didn't post for about a year, and in my last video I told you guys that there was an update to follow. This is that update, kind of what I was doing with my life. Graduated college, but then after that. So this video is going to be my Disney college program experience. So I'm super excited to kind of talk about my experience and just give you guys a brief overall view of what to expect when you're doing the Disney college program. Maybe you want to apply but you're not sure if you should do it, or you're a little bit skeptical like I was. These are basically some things to consider and essentially just my point of view and the things that I experienced while on the program. So let's just get into it. Okay, so basically I'm going to split this video up into different parts. First, talk about what made me want to do it, a little bit of background about what the Disney college program is, what to expect when you apply in the application process, and basically my experience and the pros and cons that I found personally that I wish I knew before I started. I also just want to start off by saying that my experience is not everybody's experience, so just take that with a grain of salt. Just take everything that I say, grain of salt. It's simply just my experience. I love this company. I will always go on vacations every year to Disney. I love Disney. Definitely a happy place of mine, but there are some things that you do experience when you work there. So once again, my experience. So let's just get into it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I just recently graduated in May of 2022 with my bachelor's in business administration from Montclair State University. My concentration at Montclair was hospitality management. Basically, I wanted to work in the hospitality field. I wanted to work at hotels, do events, tourism, travel, all those types of things I wanted to be involved in. So I literally thought Disney was perfect. To be honest with you, I applied kind of as a joke. I never expected to get in. I basically applied, applications came out in like mid-January or whatever, and then I ended up applying, and about a week or so later I got an email that I was accepted, and I was kind of freaking out a little. I had no idea what to expect. So hopefully this video gives you a little bit of insight if you get accepted and you don't really know what you're in for. Okay, so if you're basically like, Emily, what is the DCP? What are those words that you keep saying? Basically, it is the Disney college program. Essentially what it is an internship with the Walt Disney World company. It's only currently at Walt Disney World, not Disneyland in California. So it's at Walt Disney World in Florida. It's for current college students, or you could be a recent grad. I believe it's about 18 months after you graduate, you could apply, and you have to be over the age of 18 to apply as well. Application process for me was fairly easy. Like I said, I basically just was like, you know what, let's try it out. My friend applied and she got accepted, and I basically had all of my hospitality classes with her. I was like, if she got accepted, maybe I will too. Let's try. So I submitted my application. So that's basically your first step. You just go online, apply for it, and then if you're selected to move on to the next round, they'll send you what's called a WBI, which is a web-based interview. And it's basically a whole bunch of questions. I think it's like about 200 questions on how you would react in certain situations and just random things like that. And then I want to say about like a week after my WBI, I got the email that I was accepted. So it happened fairly quickly, and to be honest, it was a super easy process. I know that they used to do phone interviews, but I didn't have to do that personally. I don't know if they're bringing them back or whatever the case. I just had the WBI and then I got accepted. Okay, so basically after you get accepted, the process starts kind of rolling if you choose to accept the offer with the company. So your first step, essentially, I think you have about a week or 10 days to do this. Basically accept or decline the offer. If you accept, you do have to pay. It was either $425 or $450 deposit. So that's whether you end up going through with it or not. You still have to pay to basically accept the offer. They say that that deposit is used for your first week's rent and then just like services fees for your program. So that's essentially what it was. I believe sometime, if I'm not mistaken, it's either when you accept or like a week or so after you pay the deposit, you have to decide your program dates. So the programs, basically, they range in dates. They could be like, the shortest is like 4.5 months and the longest is like 7 or 8 months. Like a start of a program, you could always extend, but those were like the certain dates. I selected August 22nd arrival date. My end date was January 12th. So it was about 5-ish months in the program, and that's like the shorter lengths that I could have selected, so that's the one I chose. And then basically while you're waiting for all of this stuff, once you get accepted is super fast, and then it's kind of a slow moving process of when you find out your role, when you find out your roommate, all those things, because end up happening closer to your arrival date. The thing I did was just join a bunch of Facebook groups. I met so many cool people on the Facebook groups. They would post like their days when they're moving in, people from all over the country. So it was basically like you were a freshman in high school again, those Facebook groups, meeting people. That's actually how I met my roommate Carney. We met on the Facebook group and we actually just instantly clicked. It was awesome, and we ended up choosing each other as roommates. So I believe it was sometime in July, June or July. So about a month or 2 months before my program, you would select your housing. So if you live on Disney housing, it's the Flamingo Crossings Village. It's a newer complex. So essentially you have different style of apartments. There's a 2x2, which is you have another person in the room with you and you share a bathroom with that person. 4x2, which is you have your own room but you share a bathroom. And then a 4x4 is everybody has their own bathroom and everybody has their own bedroom. Basically, when it was time to select housing, you go online, you do it through the I think it's Disney Programs website. You basically select what you want, you put your top priority, but it's not guaranteed. And if you want to link with your roommate, which is what I did, it's essentially requesting each other, basically put their roommate ID in, like their number that they're given in an email, and that's that. But you basically don't know if you're living together until the week that you move in, which was kind of nerve-wracking, to be honest, because I wanted to know who my roommates were, but it all worked out in the end. I want to say also around this time is when you will basically pick your parking permit. So if you want to have your car Flamingo property and like drive your car to work and everything like that, you need to pay for a parking permit. I bought it, it was $85. Essentially, you bought the one parking pass, and there was a limited number of parking passes. So people were like really freaked out. They were like, I'm not gonna get a parking pass. I had no issues with it. I just logged in like as soon as the portal opened. I logged in, I paid, and I got my parking pass. That was that. I had that like basically all set up. My arrival date was August 22nd. August 2nd is when I found out my role and my location. Sometimes you find out your role 3 to 4 weeks before your arrival date, and then you'll find your specific location later. It just so happened that my role and location were both already uploaded, so I was able to see that. So like I said, I was able to see my role and location, and now I'm going to get into basically my personal experience on the program. So my role, I was so excited when I saw this on the screen. I was freaking out. So basically, I was a concierge at the Riviera Resort. If you don't know, the Riviera is the newest resort on Disney World property. It's amazing. It is so beautiful. So I just couldn't wait. I was like, to make magic at one of the prettiest resorts on property. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit skeptical because I have worked many front desk jobs in the past and I did not really like them. They were not really for me. It'll be different at Disney. People are on vacation, they're gonna be happy, like it'll be fine. Most of the time they weren't happy, but that's for a later story. I found out that I was a concierge, and then my move-in date came along and we were getting ready to move me in. Basically, my arrival date was August 22nd, like I said. About August 20th, I decided that I wanted to have my car down there in Florida. I live in New Jersey, so how to get my car, I didn't want to drive all the way down to Florida. We took the auto train, which goes from Lorton, Virginia down to Sanford, Florida. They load your car on the train and then you have like your own seats on the train. That's what we did, and I will say, you are planning on having your car there, it is very, very convenient. I know it does provide transportation. They have buses to the parks, to Disney Springs, to other locations, other resorts. If you need to get to work, you can. I just didn't want to rely on buses and stuff like that because I didn't really know if it would be that reliable. And I also wanted the freedom that came along with having my car down there. I got to experience other towns in Florida. I got to go to Universal. I got to do things that I necessarily wouldn't do outside of the Disney bubble if I didn't have my car. Essentially moved in. It's all great. Met my roommates, they were awesome. And then either the day after you move in or a few days after, like that week, you have basically all your training classes that they start. The day after I moved in, I had to go to Being the Most of Your program, which is essentially they were telling you all their resources. I think that was hosted by the Flamingo Crossing staff. Bringing the Magic to Life was later that week. Essentially just, you know, Disney basics. This is how we do things. This is how we create the magic, things like that. And then we have traditions, which if you are familiar with the Disney College program, I'm pretty sure you definitely know what traditions is. Basically a long day where they tell you all about Disney and how to become a cast member, and they give you your blue ID, your name tag, and then you are officially a Disney cast member, and everyone takes pictures at Disney University and their name tags, and everyone's super excited and they celebrate. That was really fun. That whole week was awesome. And then I started my training later that week. Since I was a concierge, I had concierge core. I think it was 4 or 5 days over an 8-hour period. We're in a classroom at Disney University, basically learning how to be a concierge. And they had the iPads where we practice lab and everything, practice checking people in, everything like that. And the week after, I started my on-the-job training at the Riviera. So I started my on-the-job training and everything was awesome. I think it was about 5 days of on-the-job training, and then we had a little assessment. Basically checked in with our leaders, make sure everything was good. It was. I was really excited to work at this location. I really liked my coworkers, my leaders, everyone was great. Having a lot of fun, and at this time I did get myself admission pass. So basically I was going to the parks every morning before work and it was awesome. I remember the first park I went to when I got myself admission pass was Animal Kingdom. It's one of my favorites just to go on a solo day and just walk around and explore. Things were just working out. I was working, I will say it was pretty like late hours. I usually worked 3 to 11:30 or 4 to midnight, something like that. I definitely didn't prefer working super late into the night. It was also nice because I got to do things in the morning if I wanted to before work. It kind of outweighed the bad working so late. Fast forward to about a month after I start, I did get an email that I was going to be transferred to another resort. It did make me kind of upset because at the time I was really loving where I was, connected with everybody, and I was also going through like a really rough like homesickness period. So I was just not like mentally 100% there at that point. And I got that email, which did make me really upset, but I was still like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make the most. New location. So I was set to start there. I had my last day, old location, and then Hurricane Ian hit. So if you don't know, Hurricane Ian basically swept Florida the end of September. Disney World literally closed for the day, kind of in between resorts, so I wasn't working. I didn't have to do the ride out or anything. Because of that, my start of the new resort was a little bit delayed because they had cleanup crew and ride out crew and all those things. Everyone was recovering from the hurricane. They didn't want to start training me at a new location till the hurricane passed and everyone was okay. I really did try to give this new location the benefit of the doubt, but after I started, it just wasn't the same as my previous location. Concierge do go through a lot. Listen, if you ever go on a Disney vacation, my advice, please just be nice to the cast members. 99% of the time, the cast members want to help you. They're just not able to do what you're asking, or if they are, just be a little bit nice to them while they're doing it. That's all I'm gonna say. But essentially, concierge was kind of weighing me down. It was very mentally draining, specifically just because you are the first person of contact that they're going to come to with a problem. If you have a problem, it's your fault and you need to fix it. It's just kind of a lot. At this time, getting close to the holidays, you know, like end of October, really started to be like, I really want to be here. Like, is this helping me in the long run? I was kind of going through like a little bit of a crisis. Essentially like 2-ish months into my program, I started feeling not the greatest. Mentally, it was just a lot. You know, there was weeks where I would work 10 days straight in a row without a day off. It was kind of draining, especially just mentally because of the type of role I had. Not to say that every guest at Disney World is rude to cast members or whatever the case. At the end of October, kind of just thinking, especially with the holidays coming up, I was like, I don't want to miss the holidays with my family or feeling like this because I knew I would have had to work on the holidays. Started just talking to my parents and I was like, really not that happy. Job like isn't very fulfilling for me. I don't know if it's really worth being away. After talking with my roommates and talking with my friends and everything, I kind of decided this is kind of what's best for me. As much as I love the parks and I love the people I met down there, it was just not really worth it and it was really hard. When I basically decided that I was going to self-term, essentially self-term in college program terms is basically quitting. You know, I beat myself up a lot for, but in the end I really do know that it was what was best for me. It just wasn't feasible for me to be down there, just mentally, financially, physically, all of the things. So I made the decision to come home and be with my family on the holidays. When my dad was coming to visit me, I basically just went home with him. This happens all the time in the college program, to be honest with you. People self-term all the time for many different reasons, so they're not really very surprised when it happens. But I told them that I was terming and they're like, let us know if we could do anything, you know? But that was basically it. I told Flamingo when I was leaving, I basically got all my stuff out and then I went to the Flamingo office and gave them my keys, and that was that. It was a fairly easy process. So that was essentially my experience kind of summarized into a very short bit, because if I talked about my entire experience, this would be a very long video, and I'm trying to keep it just, this is my experience. These are my pros, these are my cons. This is what you should know before applying or before accepting your offer for the Disney College program. Give some pros and cons of what I learned using my experience and just what I found living there and participating in the program. I want to start with probably the biggest pro that everyone has. Disney fanatics, you want to work at Disney, you want to go to Disney all the time. You can do that as a Disney College program participant or any cast member. It's free admission to the parks, which was awesome, to be honest. I was at the parks basically every day. I would go to Epcot in the morning, ride Cosmic Rewind, and then I would go to work. It was super fun. It was the highlight of my day. So if you're a huge Disney fanatic, that's awesome. You get to go to the parks for free. With that, there are cast member discounts that you get. On certain food, not all like quick service food, you do get a discount. You get discount on merch, and you get discount on hotels for friends and family if they ever decide to book. Or if you just want to take a little staycation for yourself, you have a discount on hotels too. Times, I think like a few times a year, we have like a special cast member discount. When I was down there, because it was getting ready for the Christmas season, I believe it was 40% off of merch when I was down there. So that was awesome. I got a lot of cute stuff. Another pro, like what I said earlier, if you have your car, even if you don't have a car, if one of your friends have a car, or you just know how to use public transportation, get to explore other parts of Florida that are outside of Disney World. Not to say that it's not fun exploring the different resorts and parks and everything at Disney. I will say, if you can, please, for your own mental health, get out of the Disney bubble at least once in a while. It really does make a difference. Kind of like recenters you. Yes, you're in Disney World, but you're also a person who needs regular social interactions, you know what I mean? That was definitely a plus. You could go to the beach like an hour away. You could go to Celebration. It's a really, really cute town. They have lots of cute shops, and they have a farmer's market on Sundays. A bunch of different things that are in the area that if you have a car, you're able to explore. So I definitely recommend doing that just your days off or just whenever you want to have a little trip. Another pro is that the Flamingo Crossings Village, where the Disney College programs participants live, is a very new facility. I believe it was built in 2020. It's very new. The apartments are really nice overall. The facility is really nice. They have a gym. The community center is really nice. They have a gym, they have pools, hot tubs, stuff like that. So there was stuff for you to utilize when you were living there, which I really enjoyed. Basically, the biggest reason why I wanted to do this, being a hospitality graduate, I wanted the experience to put on my resume. I wanted to say I worked at one of the biggest companies in the world doing hospitality. This is what I went to school for. Depending on what role you're in or who your leaders are, who you talk to, you can network and find potential opportunities for the future. And if you want to, you could even extend your program and go into part-time, full-time with the company as well. And I already kind of said this before, but cast member perks and things like that, when I was working there, the return of Fantasmic was. So I was able to go to the cast member preview for Fantasmic before it opened back up to the general public. Let me just say, that was one of the best experiences I had on my college program because it was so fun. All the cast members were so happy and so excited to be there. I'm going to get into my cons, or basically just things to consider. Like I said earlier, these are just my personal opinions, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. When I applied, there was no phone interview. So essentially it kind of felt impersonal and kind of like they would just hire anybody because there was no interview. It was basically just a survey asking you questions, and then you either got in or you didn't. And it just made me feel like take anyone and you're kind of just a number to them. So just think about that. So the biggest thing for me, honestly, was the pay. you will get paid a very little amount working very long and not good hours. Essentially, you get the hours that full-time cast members don't want because somebody's got to do it, and that's what college program participants are for. You basically work those shifts and do those things that other people don't want to do. So I got paid $14 an hour, and living in Flamingo, there is weekly rent. And weekly was $185. I do think next year, like 2023, when this is up, I think rent is going up to $195 a week. I'm not sure, but definitely look into that if you're considering applying. That was a lot for me. You went from, you know, making like $300 a week to like only taking home $100. And then after gas and groceries, what do you have? So that's definitely something to consider. Your title money. Other thing is, a cast member, you are subjected to blackout dates. So yes, you did get to go to the parks pretty much whenever you wanted. There was blackout dates for certain things, like Magic Kingdom during the Christmas time was blocked out for people and stuff like that. So those basically, blackout date means you can't get into those parks that day, or you would have to scan into another park first and then go to that park afterwards, basically park hop, if you couldn't get a reservation because you were blocked out as a cast member. And the second biggest con for me, besides making a low amount of money, was just being away from your family for extended periods of time, and also maybe sometimes during the holidays, depending on the dates of your program. It's really hard, honestly, as a college program participant to request days off. It's kind of hard because you can't really see your family. You're away from home for a long period of time, but if that's something that you're fine with, then that was everything that I had to say. I just want to say once again, everything that I did say is just my personal experience. Program is 100% what you make of it and what you want to get out of it. I want to end this video just by saying, if you want to apply for the Disney College program, or you're sure after watching this video if it's right for you, please do your research. Don't hesitate to reach out. There are so many good resources available to you. Go to the Disney program's website. You can watch other videos here on YouTube. Do your research and kind of know what you're getting into before you do it. But if you decide that it's right for you, then go for it. And who knows, you might end up loving it and be with the company for the rest of your life. I'm gonna end the video here, but I just wanna say thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you on the next video. Bye.